All right, good afternoon. Assalamualaikum dan salam sejahtera. Thank you everyone for joining our second Research Masterclass Series. And in this particular session, we are going to focus on specific data analysis technique within qualitative data, which is thematic analysis. And we are lucky to have Dr. Fatin Aliana Mohd Radzi to join our session today as a speaker. But before we continue, kita mulakan dahululah dengan bacaan surah Al-Fatihah. Al-Fatihah. Amin, amin, ya Rabbal Alamin. I hope that my voice is clear. All right, so before we proceed to looking at these different steps required in doing this analysis, allow me to share a bit on who exactly is our speaker. So that Dr. Fatin Aliana Mohd Radzi is a senior lecturer at the Department of Educational Studies, Faculty of Education. She is also the current coordinator of early childhood education at UiTM. With 18 years of teaching experience, she specializes in early childhood education and sociology of education. Dr. Fatin has authored and co-authored over 20 articles and scholarly publications, contributing significantly to the field of child development, educational equity, and parental involvement. Her academic work reflects a strong commitment to improving early learning environments and advancing inclusive educational practices. Nampak tak hebat? And Dr. Fatin also is a familiar face when it comes to the setting of our research projects webinars, having been invited to similar session last year, looking at qualitative analysis. But this semester, we are focusing specifically on the thematic part of it. Okay, I am yapping. Cukup lah tu kan. Dah tengah hari. So I am handing over the screen to Dr. Fatin. Silakan Dr. Fatin.
All right, thank you very much, Puan Zuraini, for the introduction as well. Macam very, very impressive lah konon.
Impressive.
But biasa je, insyaAllah. Okay, I hope you could hear me clear. Can you hear me clearly? My internet is also quite slow. So it's not just that the host is going to somehow, be on and off. Maybe I also will be lost while I'm talking here. But that's okay because I know now it's 12:30 already. Definitely many of you are hungry in front of the screen. So I hope that you could spend like 30 to 40 minutes just to listen to me talk, and then we'll do the exercise together as well as I introduce to you all the steps in thematic analysis. Okay? And since Puan Zuraini also informed me that we're only going to do thematic analysis, although there are many other, data, what do you call the analysis technique in qualitative research. Again, as mentioned before today, we're just going to focus on thematic analysis. Okay, are you ready, audience?
Yes.
Some are familiar names, some are I'm teaching this semester. The rest I don't know. I only know up to this point. That's the A, B, and E. Part A. Okay, so if you're ready, give me a reaction, thumbs up. Okay, ready. Okay, let's go. Okay, so our learning objectives today, there are only 4. First is to understand the 6 phases of Brown and Clark's thematic analysis. And of course, if you refer to some other literature, there are many other names as well in thematic analysis. But as for me, I'm more familiar with Brown and Clark's process of thematic analysis. And they also featured 6 phases. Yeah. So the history goes that they came out with a book in helping people do thematic analysis more systematically, somewhere around 2006. Thematic analysis is not something new, but it's just being put into light just recently after the 2006 book. So that's when this analysis then expanded and became popular a little bit, because somehow or other they provide for us, the researchers, a way to systematically conduct this type of analysis. Yeah. So next, the second objective is for us to practice coding qualitative data. So in order for us to code, it doesn't take us you cannot master coding in a fast manner. Sometimes it takes for you maybe 1 or 2 months just to familiarize yourself with that. But considering the time constraint now, now is already the month of May,
Tak jumpa ke
you need
barang
to
tadi
submit
tu?
your RP somewhere in July. Is that correct,
Saya
Puan
kelas...
Zurami? July?
Yep.
So we're gonna do like a crash course for you to help you with the coding process, yeah. And then we are also gonna try to group the codes into different themes in which I will show an example, and then also then you will participate in doing the coding as well, just to try it out, yeah. And lastly, write a short thematic report paragraph on how can you report the theme that you have derived. And then how do you write the quotes that you take from your data in your report. Okay, clear so far? Thumbs up. All right, thank you. Okay, so what is thematic analysis? Thematic analysis is a qualitative analytic method for identifying, analyzing, and reporting patterns. Yeah. So what we do basically, we read through our data, and we try to find what are the emerging patterns. Yeah, you find the patterns. What does it mean by pattern? Something that is similar information about each other. So you find those similar information, and then you group them you group them, and then you group them together. When you group them together, that is what you call the theme. Yeah. It's flexible and widely used in social science. So thematic analysis is one of the popular analysis when you're doing qualitative study, and it is suitable for data such as interviews, focus groups, open-ended responses, or narrative, what we call the narrative stories from your respondents, as well as if you have data like secondary analysis sources such as diaries. Yeah, so those can also be analyzed using thematic analysis. Apart from that, when you are conducting a qualitative research, usually qualitative researchers will also bring with them their field notes. So field notes can also be part of the data and can also be analyzed using thematic analysis. All right. Okay, so in doing thematic analysis, alamak tengok dia dah keluar kotak. So later I'll fix that. Okay, so in doing thematic analysis, there are two approaches. First is inductive, and then the other is deductive. Yeah, inductive is from bottom up, meaning you start from scratch. You have your data fresh, so you have to read your data over and over again for you to identify or for you to notice the recurring patterns. Yeah. So these themes using inductive approach emerge directly from the data. There's no preset framework or theory. And for example, you allowing unexpected themes to arise from students' diaries, yeah, or from the interview transcript that you have. Whenever you read through, read over and over again and try to find the recurring patterns, yeah. So that is inductive approach. So you have no idea what you're going to get from your data. As to do this, you must not have a preconceived idea. Okay, I think this thing will emerge. No, it has to be free from that. Yeah, so it has to depend solely on the data that you have and the patterns that may emerge. While deductive approach, this is top down. So this approach involves, it's guided by prior research as well as theoretical constructs. So the codes and the themes usually are aligned to the research question. Yeah. For example, you deriving the themes such as test anxiety and motivation from literature. So in doing deductive approach, you can get the ideas of what are the themes that you're looking for by reading your research question or by looking at your theoretical framework or conceptual framework. So from there, you sort of has a presumption already. What kind of codes or themes that you want, that you're hoping to look for? Yeah. And then also, it could also be from literature. Say, for example, when you, let's say your title is test anxiety, and then you've been reading lots and lots of literature on that. And from the literature that you read, you notice that most of the themes are about motivation, for example. So when you read through your data, you can expect to also be in the lookout for uh, which part of the data is talking about motivation, for example. Yeah, so that's deductive. You sort of got the idea already from literature, from your research question, or from your um, conceptual framework, and also your theoretical framework. But inductive, you have to start fresh, start from scratch. You need to be to free your mind of any preconceived ideas of what kind of codes or themes are you looking for. That's inductive. Okay. Did someone raise their hand?
Yes,
Okay. I
me.
thought I heard a
I
sound.
do have a question, Dr.
Ah,
Fatin.
yeah.
As a student or as a researcher doing
Okay.
analysis, will it be possible to carry out our analysis using both inductive and deductive approach?
As for me, I don't think it's an issue, but usually people would just choose one approach. Which one makes more sense and which approach that they're more familiar with. Um, because when I do mine as well, usually I would do mine deductive approach. I've not mixed it with inductive approach so far. Mm. I hope that answers the question. Thank you, Ravi.
All right, thank you. Just a reminder, if you guys have any questions during any part of this session, you can just interject and ask your questions, or you can type in the chat. I'm sorry for the interruption, Dr. Fatin. Please continue. Thank you. Oh, someone raised
Yes,
hand.
Hanis.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Doctors, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Because currently I'm doing my qualitative research, right? So basically I have
Mm-hmm.
like a six of respondents of the teachers to be interviewed. Is it restricted because I am doing from the scratch, right? So it's restricted for the period of the how the interview would be conducted, like 20 to 30 minutes is very sufficient enough for me to get the quality of the data to
Mm.
to to get into the team of the code. uh,
Okay. So that's a very subjective question as well. How many times did you meet your respondent?
I'm about to interview, but this is like how what I'm going to plan, because right now I'm doing my practicum, so maybe
Mm.
next week I'm going to interview them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that questions actually goes back to your data collection method. Usually when we conduct interview, we will conduct, what kind of interview are you doing? Is it like a in-depth interview or
Yeah,
semi-structured interview or
in
structured
depth,
interview?
in depth.
So if you're doing in-depth interview, I would say 30 minutes is not enough, because in-depth interview requires you to meet with the respondents in over and over again, just for the respondents to familiar themselves with you, so that they would give recall almost an honest answer when they are used to your presence. So to answer your questions, 30 minutes for in-depth interview, I don't think it's enough. It has to be like few sessions. It could be 30 minutes per session, but it must not be only one session. You need to
um,
somehow, oh, apa tu?
because I have to like prompt the question so that they are basically answering from what I'm expected for them to answer, right?
Yeah, I hope by now you already built rapport with your respondents. Did you build the
Yeah,
rapport already? Okay,
yeah,
so hopefully by now, I assume it's going to be the teachers teaching in the school that you're doing a practicum now.
yeah.
Okay, so by now I think they're used to your presence already. But my advice is that you cannot just have one session for that interview. Perhaps maybe two or three sessions. uh, to have a very rich data when they're answering the interview is not easy unless they're already ready to open up to you. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Doctor.
Okay. All right. Any more questions from the audience? No. Okay. So should I proceed? Thumbs up. Okay. All right. Thank you, Fatin. Okay, so this is this here on this slide is what I talk about now, on and trust 2006 phases. Yeah. So there are 6 steps, of course, in doing thematic analysis according to them. First is familiarization. Second is generating quotes. Third is searching for themes. Fourth, reviewing the themes. Six, defining and naming themes. Five, defining and naming themes. And lastly, number 6, writing the report. So let us go through all the 6 phases one by one, and then we'll do the exercise together as we look at the sample. Yeah. Okay. So phase 1, familiarization. You know, when you do qualitative research, of course, you would have a very, very big volume of data. That's why we have to keep our sample not too big, yeah, because of the mass volume of data that we're going to have. And for a qualitative research, we need to read the data over and over again so that we could familiarize ourselves with the data. So that's why it says here, read and reread the data. How many times should you ask me? I read my data more than 5 times just to familiarize myself with it. But make sure you transcribe your data first and, put the pages and then write the name of the respondents. Kalau boleh not your real name lah, pseudonym, because you want to, keep the what do you call the actual individual as confidential. Yeah. So when you write that, maybe you want to write respondent 1 and then make sure to put the page number already on the transcription that you have. Yeah, so that's easier for you. Yeah, so when you read and reread, up to the point that after I read my data a few times, I somehow rather reach this ability to remember. Okay, where did I see this phrase? So I know that it's on page 10. Yes, because of the extensive amount of time of reading my data. Yeah. So when you read the transcript, it has to be multiple times with fresh, unbiased perspective. So read through, macam orang kata sekali lalu ya, baca laju-laju. Please do not have in your mind the quotes already. Yeah, just read through just to familiarize yourself with the data, and then treat the transcripts as standalone sources of meaning. Meaning it should be free from your assumption, and then aim to gain deep immersion in the data set. Focus on identifying initial points of interest directly from participants' voices. So first reading, just baca sekali lalu, sekali harung orang kata. But second, third, fourth, the fifth reading, it has to already, be, you are trying to familiarize yourself which points do you think is interesting. Do you see patterns already there? If you do have with you, you need to have a highlighter. A highlighter will be handy for you to highlight the things that you notice. Maybe you see patterns already, so have different colored highlighters to help you with that, identifying the patterns. Yeah. And then, so by reading this familiarization process will help the researcher to develop a holistic understanding before doing the next step, which is coding. Yeah. Okay, so let's try doing a deductive approach sample. So I'm going to show you this sample. So this is from an EFL paper. Yeah. So for example, the research question here is, does the motivate students to learn English? If yes, how does it affect students? So from this research question, if you're doing a deductive approach, you can already identify the codes. Okay, so judging from this research question, what I'm looking for will be motivation and test preparation strategies. Or the second example, do students and parents suffer test pressure, anxiety? If yes, what sorts of pressure and anxiety do they suffer? So reading this research question, so we sort of understand that maybe we predict our code will be test pressure as well as test anxiety. Or research question 3, what are the effects of the test on students' career and educational development? So perhaps the codes will be motivation, anxiety, and interest. So this if you're doing deductive. Yeah. So you read through your data, familiarize your data with that, and then look at your research question and try to come up with quotes from there already. Yeah. Other than research question, again, as I said, it could also be from your literature as well as from your theoretical or conceptual framework. Okay. Now let's try inductive approach. Okay. So I would like for all of you to please read through these sentences or this paragraph and then try to highlight the key ideas after reading this. Okay, ready? Hear it through. Sometimes I feel like no one listens to me at school. I ask questions, but the teacher moves on. I wish there was more time to talk about what I don't understand. My parents are busy too, so I keep things to myself. I just want to, someone to hear me. So the difference is that, unlike deductive just now, you sort of go back to your research question so that you could identify the quotes. But for this, you're reading it fresh with a fresh mindset, no assumption or pre-assumption, and you are trying your best to highlight the key ideas. Anyone would like to try? Should I drop names here? Would you like to try, Hanis? Because I know you're here since you asked me a question. So yang malas nak tanya soalan. Hanis, would you like to try? No, no one would like to try. So how about let's try siapa?
Maybe Dr. Fatin in one
Amira.
first.
Okay. So if I throw in one, I'm just going to move to the next slide.
Okay,
Okay,
there's
sorry,
only one
doctor. Saya
here.
tengah ada. Oh, okay. Yes, thank you. Yeah, you can use the chat section, of course. So, Karina, listen. Okay, Karina, listen, said that the answer would be lack of time for clarification. So, where is it? Okay, lack of time is not in the paragraph. So what we're doing here is just identifying the sentences from the paragraph. We're not doing the coding yet. So from this paragraph, can you highlight to me which phrases or lines that you think is important? Yes, Fatin? Neglection, that would be the code already. Okay, never mind. Let me just show you the answer, okay? So from this paragraph, to me, the key ideas would be all of this, yeah? No one listens to me at school, which of course is talking about neglection. Yes, no one listens to me at school. Thank you, Nasrai. Lack of parental ability. Okay, so the answer would be no one listens to me at school. Tak boleh conteng ke? Hang on, let me. Okay. So and then I ask question, and then the teacher moves on, and then I wish there was more time to talk. My parents are too busy. Yeah, from my parents' lack of parental availability. Again, this is already the coding and the thing. Or I keep things to myself. I just want someone to hear me. So these are to me the phrases that stand up, and I could see patterns there already. So like what you guys answered, my assumption is that you guys have started to see patterns already, right? From this except here, right? Okay, good job everyone. Okay, okay, sekarang macam mana kita nak padam benda alah ni? Okay, this is the eraser part. All right. Okay, next would be the second phase, which is generating codes. So first, in order to generate codes, as I said, I keep on talking about identifying the patterns, see what are the phrases that's recurring. Yeah, so we are doing what we call identify meaningful features in data. And then here we can already try to assign the labels or the codes. For example, so from the deductive sample research question that I showed just now, and when I read through the data, so these are the data that, this researcher have identified. So first data, my mom is very much worried about me, and she has a hope that I can do well on the exam or on the test. So this one, the coding could be test anxiety on parents, yeah, because it's talking about the parents themselves who's having the anxiety. And then second line from this interview excerpt, I am also worried that there might be some carelessness when checking our answer sheets. So this could be coded as test anxiety. And then the other one, this is more personal. I am scared of the test. So this could be coded as test anxiety on students. Okay, understand? Any questions so far? All right, good. Okay, next, let's view one exercise from the paragraph just now. So these are the things, these are the lines that we have identified as the key interest, yeah, the one that we talked just now and you tried doing. So let's try to put quotes here. Okay, so Nasra EA and Fatin and Karen and Listen and Najmi, actually they have tried coding. They have they're at a bit advanced. They're already doing the coding. Yeah. Say for example, from the line, no one listens to me at school. So this can be coded as feeling unheard. Yeah. Or the second phrase, the teacher moves on. This can be coded as lack of teacher support. And wish there was more time to talk. It could be time constraint on that lag or any engagement gap. Yeah. And parents are busy too. This could be about parental unavailability or parental support. So again, when we're doing coding, the codes is up to us as researcher. Yeah. For example, like this one, parents are busy too. It could be coded as parental unavailability, or it could also be coded as lack of parental support, for example. Yeah. I keep things to myself. Maybe this is for emotional suppression, or we could also put this as a psychological issue, for example. Yeah. I just want someone to hear me. So need for emotional connection. Okay, so these are the codes that you develop and you derive when you read through your data. Okay. Again, I like to mention that codes is it's up to you as a researcher to code. No one have the similar code as you are, because you are the researcher for your study. So the code should be derived from yourself, from your own understanding, and from your own idea. And some people will see these sentences and these lines, they would have different codes altogether. Then that's okay. Again, it's very subjective. It's up to the researcher themselves. Okay. So next is phase 3, searching for themes. So what we do is we begin with a list of all the initial codes. We look for patterns and relationships across the data set. We group related codes to form broader themes. The focus shifts from individual codes to higher level meaning. And lastly, a theme reflects something important related to the research questions and shows a pattern in participants' responses. So what we're looking for now is, of course, we would have the codes. Now look for patterns that maybe these codes share, that these codes have in common. Look for pattern, and then group these codes that you can see similarities and patterns together. And later on, try to come up with a big theme for all these codes. Yeah. If you are familiar with the analysis tools and software, such as InVivo and Atlas DI, so it's easier that you could also just list down all these codes in them, and then it will then help you to group these codes easier. But if you're doing this manually, I did mine manually. So what I did, I'm just going to share you some tips here. So what I did, I write all the codes on what called post-its, the post-its notes. I write all the codes there. And then let's say I have 50 codes. So there will be like 50 notes, post-it notes written. Yeah. So I would paste it on the wall, look at it in the bigger picture, and then try to group those codes that are similar and some sort of a pattern there together to ease the process of looking at it in a bigger and broader view. Okay. Get it? So that if you're doing it manually, but if you're doing it using the software, so you can just drag and drop, so it's easier that way. Yeah. Okay. So from coding to theme example. For example, yeah. So this codes just now. Sorry, betin dan pula. Okay, so for example, the quotes that we came out just now, test anxiety on parents, test anxiety on students. So you see the pattern here is looking at anxiety. Yeah. So the theme could be test anxiety or psychological effect of tests, for example. Yeah. So these are the possible themes that I could think of. Yeah. So far, are you guys okay? Understand? Any questions? Okay. So let's look at this. Group the codes into three main themes. So this is our data just now from the paragraph. Uh, so these are the codes that we have derived: feeling unheard, lack of teacher support, time constraint, parental unavailability, emotional separation, and then need for emotional connection. Can someone think of one theme, at least one theme out of all these codes? If you could think more than one, that would be fine. It would be good. You can use the chat section to answer. I'm going to give you like a few seconds to think, and then write your answer at the chat box. Okay, Nasrai answered verbal communication. All right, one answer. So you're combining mm, feeling unheard, I think, yeah, and lack of teacher support and emotional suppression for verbal communication. Okay, anyone else would like to try? Okay. All right. Never mind. So let me share with you the answer. Okay. So Azra is a student teacher rapport. Okay, Nazra is. Thank you. So that is how you view it. So like how you theme all these codes would be different than how I theme my codes. Yeah. So for example, these codes: feeling unheard, lack of teacher support, and then parental unavailability. So I theme that as lack of support system, for example. And then the other codes: emotional suppression, need for emotional connection. So this one I theme it as communication and emotional needs. So Nazrai got a similar theme as mine as well. Because you're talking about verbal communication, but my theme would be broader: communication and emotional needs. Sorry, Puan Zurani, dengar tak ada orang mengaji tu? I just switch off my radio. Ada
Tak
tak?
dengar lah
Is
pula,
that
tak ada.
quite noisy tak?
Tak, tak.
Tak ingat. Okay. All right. So yeah, maybe voice cancelling. All right. Then next, my initial code, such as time constraint and then engagement gap. So this one is what we call barriers to meaningful engagement. Okay. All right. So Nazra E, when you say verbal communication, what codes are you combining? So let me share the codes again. Yeah. Which codes here that you combine for the first and the last one, yeah? Feeling unheard and then needs for emotional connection. So you could see the bigger picture here is talking about communication. All right, thank you for answering. Okay, then the next step, the next phase in thematic analysis would be reviewing the themes, yeah? Um, so sometimes, when you group the codes together, you would have, again, when you group the codes together into themes, you will also have similar themes. So that's why another step is also to look back at the themes again and over and over again, so that you could see that it's not overlapping and it's not talking about the same thing or something similar with each other. Okay, so check if the themes are coherent. Are your themes too broad, too narrow? Do they overlap? So you need to compare it also against your data set, and this is the time for you to refine your themes. Yeah. And so my question here is, what makes a strong team? So a strong team is made of internally consistent but clearly distinct from other teams. So make sure when you have the teams, you can see the distinction with each other. You cannot be talking about similar things or the same things. Yeah, it has to be very, very distinct, very, very different from each other for it to be called teams. Yeah, the final teams. Um, Then phase number 5. Okay, so again, this for reviewing themes. My way is that, of course, since I do it manually, again, I would write the themes on the post-it and then try to look at it, paste that on the wall so that I could have a clear view, a bigger view. And then if I see something similar, then again, I would group the theme together and maybe find a different name to make the theme inclusive of the other themes as well. Yeah. Okay, so next step, phase 5, defining and naming themes. So we need to write a clear definition, meaning if you have the theme, just now my theme, let's say we take Nasrai's theme, yeah, verbal communication. So you need to define what does it mean by verbal communication clearly. So you need to ask yourself, what story is this team telling? Avoid vague labels like miscellaneous or others. And then ensure each team has a unique focus and ensure that the definition brings depth and meaning. For example, so this is the theme from the quotes just now. So the theme is lack of voice. So I need to define what does it mean, lack of voice. So this is the definition. Yeah. Participants express that their thoughts and concerns are consistently ignored and dismissed by authority figures. So when you have the theme, you also have to explain to your readers what does that theme means. Yeah, so you need to write a clear definition of about around 2 or 3 sentences of that. So in my example, I wrote only one sentence, but it should be longer than that so that we could explain it better to our reader and usually our examiners. Yeah. And last one we is the sixth phase, which is writing the report. So in writing the report, what you need to do is you need to combine the narrative and the data excerpts. This includes a description of each theme supported by quotes from the data. And you're not just listing the quotes, but you're interpreting them, show how they relate to the theme and the overall research question. So let's look at exercise 4. Write 3 to 4 sentences on a chosen theme with one quote. So let's say I choose the theme lack of support system. So the first lines would be the explanation of the theme. This theme reflects the absence of emotional and instructional support from both school and home. And then you also maybe could add up a few definition also. What does it mean by emotional support and instructional support? Maybe second line could be that emotional support and third line instructional support. And then you can proceed with the participant expresses, no one listens to me at school, highlighting a lack of acknowledgement from teachers. Additionally, the statement, my parents are busy too, points to minimal support at home, leaving the student to navigate challenges alone. These experiences suggest a gap in the student support network, both academically and emotionally. So that's how you explain your theme. You define your theme, you give example of your theme, and another a little bit also another explanation of why is this can be considered as a legit theme. Yeah. Any questions so far?
No,
Okay, so
Doctor.
everything is good? Yes. Okay, thank you, Fatin. Okay, so we're approaching the last of my slides already. So next, another tip is that tips and common pitfalls. So when you're doing inductive thematic analysis, so please do not force the data into fitting in the themes that have you want it to be. But if you're doing deductive, again, you would have the coding and possible theme from the literature, but you must not try to alter your data into fitting in the themes that you have derived from your research question or literature. Yeah, do not alter. Do not try to extract the data into fitting it or alter it to fit your assumption, okay, or the quotes that you have derived. And avoid shallow summaries. Summaries must be very precise, in depth, and very thorough. And themes should therefore emerge naturally if you're doing inductive thematic analysis. But if you're doing deductive, then themes can emerge from the literature, research question, as well as your theoretical framework or conceptual framework. Okay, so to help you to ease the process of you in coding and then coming out with the themes and so forth. So my suggestion is for you to have this kind of table if you're doing it manually. But if you're doing it using the software, then you can always insert this in the software. Yeah. So if you're doing manually, perhaps have a table where you would have these transcripts, excerpt, and then you write your initial quote here, and then you write the so that of course you could jot whatever the quotes is in the actual data set. Yeah, you boleh je tulis tangan, highlight sana sini. But at the end of the day, you transfer that into some sort of what we call soft copy form. So that is easier for you to move the data around. Yeah. And also, like I did when I told you, I wrote my quotes and my themes on post-it. What you can do is, if you have these quotes, you can just print it and then you gunting lah, so that it's easier for you to soon, yeah, and move around to come up with the theme. And also, I think by transferring it into a digital form, it will also help you better in doing your writing later on for chapter 4 and chapter 5, and for you to copy and just paste the excerpts. Yeah. Yes, Puan Juraimi.
I just want to add, Dr. Fatin, that by transferring all these codes and themes into a form of a table, it helps us to feel less overwhelmed because things are more structured, so you're able to see connection better. If not, then it will be like all over the place, and you'll be stressed because dealing with qualitative data can be too much at times. So it's always good to put your ideas into a table, just like Dr. Fatin showed here lah.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, correct. So this is just a simple table that I have, but for my PhD research, I would have more what do you call that, columns to the right side. So I would write there the page number, and then who said that, and then where is the data from? Is it from interview or diaries or field notes? So have another column on the right side just to have all this information, so that it's easier when you do your write up, and it's easier for you to trace where did the sentence or excerpts came from. Okay, thank you, Puan Julani. Okay, next is so to summarize our session today. So thematic analysis is a flexible and iterative process. So it doesn't just happen in one day. It's a long process. So when doing data collection for qualitative research, data collection may be fast, but the data analysis would be quite hectic, and it involves a long time for you to first understand your data, come up with the codes, come up with the themes. Yeah, it could be quite overwhelming to some people. But in order for you to maybe mitigate the overwhelmingness a little bit, I'm not even sure if that's a word. So what you can do is make it systematic. Yeah, use all these 6 phases. So that's the reason why these 6 phases is suggested for you in doing your data analysis, so that it will help you keep track of your progress and keep you more systematic in analyzing your data. So all of this needs practice. Again, as I said, it just don't feel discouraged if when you read your data the first time you cannot identify the theme, kan? You macam blur apa benda ni, aku baca ni tak faham. Don't feel discouraged or demotivated, because even for experienced researchers, this is not easy for us as well. Yeah, we have to read our data over and over as well. Just as long as you try your best to familiarize yourself with the data, and then practice coding, theming, and writing to improve your skills, then inshallah, this somewhere that I'm not going to say easy, but it will somewhere to come more naturally to you, inshallah. Okay, so these are my references. This is the book where they first introduced thematic analysis, Brown and Clark, and then also another book, 2015. Okay. All right, that's it on thematic analysis. Any question from the audience or from our host, Puan Zuraini? Is it okay to have many themes, or we just must have a few main themes? Okay. Of course, you can have as many themes as possible, but as I said, please look through themes. If somehow or other they are similar with each other, then try to group the themes together and rename the theme, so that is inclusive of all the other similar themes. Okay, Afika? Mm. And again, as I mentioned before, the themes needs to be distinct from each other. It has to be unique. When you define that, so my advice is that when you have the theme, you try defining it. When you define all your themes and you see that some definitions are kind of similar, you can see still patterns emerging, then that means those themes can be combined and concise into one bigger theme. Okay, Afika?
Do we have any questions? Yes, another one from Nazrai. Doctor, if it's permissible, could we have the slides? I would love. Okay, yes, I will be providing the slides later. The recording to this session as well, inshallah. So, do we have any other questions? Amy, yes.
Aini.
Go ahead, Amy.
Um, can you, hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm wondering if for the phase 5, do we need to put the citations when we are defining our themes? Or is it just based on our own interpretation of our data?
Yes, you have to put uh, the line, yeah. For example, like this one. So here I put my line here. No one listens to me at school. After I define the theme, I would give an example. So the example here is no one listens to me at school.
Oh,
Or
so
my
on,
parents are busy too.
so only cite from the data itself, not
Yes.
like reference.
Yes. Any citations that you do, please cite from your own data.
Uh, okay, thank you.
Okay?
Can
Oh,
I add
so
to that, Dr. Fatin?
yes, sure.
The thing about qualitative research, it's very subjective. If we were to look at quantitative, you just run your analysis into the SPSS, for example, then all the results will be tabulated. You just report the results. And because of its quantitative nature, the report will be objective. Kalau menipu dan report kita salah, macam itulah. But when it comes to qualitative, because we are delving into data, and different person would look at it and derive different themes, for example. So the interpretations is very subjective. So when we interpret that and write into our writing, the in-text citation that comes from the words of our participants is very important to be included to support our interpretation. For example, as what Dr. Fatin shows here, the theme reflects the absence of emotional instructional support. That is our interpretation as the researcher. But does it align with what the participant actually says? So this is when we support our interpretation with the line from the participant. So it's sort of like making sure that our reporting and our interpretation is reliable. So it's very important to include critical statement from the interview from the participants to support our discussion. But when Aimee says, do we need to include citation from the references? That is what you include in chapter 5. Betul tak, Dr. Fatin? After you have answered all your research questions, then you have a discussion. For example, these findings is supported by the findings of other studies that look at. And this is when you include the references based on studies that comply to your own findings or studies that contradict your finding. Macam tu lah. So maksudnya akan ada part untuk references where we include that as part of our discussion, but akan ada part juga yang kita masukkan what the participants say. I put macam jadi speaker kan ibu. Okay, teruskan.
Thank you so much.
Alright,
Thank you
Nurul
so much, madam.
Fazlin.
All right. Thank you, Puan Zurami, for the explanation. But I believe the question just now was when defining the theme, should she also add in the data from other sources? But no, when you define the themes, then the line should come from your own data set. But like Puan Zuraimi said, when you are reporting, when you're doing discussion in chapter 5, that is when you put in citations from other research and literature. Okay, all right. Thank you, Puan Zuraimi. Any other question?
We have Nurul Fazlin. Silakan Nurul Fazlin.
Sorry, doctor. I just want to ask, if we interview, for example, our sample teacher in Malay, do we need to translate the excerpt?
Hmm. Yes, if you're doing the report in English, then you have to translate. But so what I do usually, I would translate it, but then you need to also write the Malay transcription since because our examiners will be from Malaysia. So therefore, it's okay for you to put let's say the bahasa Melayu in bracket next to it. Okay, but having said that, however, you need also to check with your supervisor his or her preference. Okay, some people would have different preference. Okay, Fazli?
Okay, thank you, doctor.
Do we have any other questions? Someone who wants to share their own issues with when it comes to research, qualitative research ke apa ke, ada tak? But when it, I mean like responding to Nazlin questions, was it Fazlin for example, you might want to check with your supervisor first. I agree with what Dr. Fatin says. Since tak ada soalan, we still have 6 more minutes. So I do have questions. What is your take on students doing qualitative analysis or thematic analysis using AI? I'm sure AI, for example, integrated by NVivo or Atlas T will not be a problem. But what if students just resort to using ChatGPT to do qualitative analysis?
Okay, so this is a big debate, yeah, like that we have now. Of course, we're very thankful for having this AI, and AI is very helpful in helping us, especially qualitative researchers, to make sense of our data in a more faster manner and more not. However, it will help us in what we call trying to code our data and group our data into themes faster. However, sometimes it may not be accurate. Yeah. So my advice is that you can use AI as an assistive tool for you to ease the process of looking into the mass volume of data that you have. But at the end of the day, look back at the codes or the themes that the AI has helped you derive and to see whether it makes sense to your own research and compare that again, check it also over and over again with your own data set. Yeah. You can use AI, as I said, it's very helpful in helping you make sense of your data. But at the end of the day, make sure to check for the accuracy. So therefore, it goes back to working manually to look back into your own data set.
All right, thank you, Dr. Fatin. Even when, for example, we use thematic analysis using, kenapa lah saya tergagap-gagap kan? Even for example, we use NVivo or Atlas T for doing the analysis such as thematic analysis. I believe the skills to doing it manually is still helpful. Having the knowledge of doing this analysis manually pun sangat penting bila kita menggunakan Atlas TI or NVivo sebab it help us to understand better how should the analysis work. And also, I challenge you to do your thematic analysis manually. Okay, mungkin cuba satu buat manual, lepas tu double check dengan whatever AI tools that you use. You will find that your manual analysis is more comprehensive and in-depth in comparison to the AI tool or assistive tool that you use lah. But again, it is good to use it to make sense. Tapi bila awak dah buat secara manual, lepas tu run pula dekat AI for example, you akan rasa tak puas, macam alamak, macam tak bestnya. Kenapa aku punya lagi best? Macam itulah. So, buat satu menggunakan manual. It is not as overwhelming. You feel challenged and thrilled because it's like it's very interesting to understand your own data, macam itulah, dan it does have its own charm untuk kita analyse. Okay, ada tak soalan terakhir sebelum saya tutup kedai? Ada pula, ya. Okay, alright. The thing about Atlas TI, for example, in addition to thematic analysis that we have here, because of the advancement of technology and whatnot, it also analyzes things like pictures, posters, videos, without requiring us to transcribe. So it's something that you could also try, because, well, technology is here for us to try out, kan? Alright, anyway, thank you so much to Dr. Fatin for makanan tengah hari kita hari ni, mengadap ilmu, kelas you all. Okay, so insyaAllah we see Dr. Fatin again maybe next semester for slightly more different take on analysis, qualitative such as content analysis ke, kan, narrative analysis ke. But anyway, I hope that today's session is beneficial and it is something that could help you to kickstart your analysis, and also something that give you motivation to navigate through this semester 8 life that you have. Okay, and as itu sahajalah kot, saya pun dah lapar, cakap pun dah tegak-gagap ni. I will be sharing with you the slides and also the recording of this session. Till the next session, thank you so much everyone. Take care and Assalamualaikum. Terima kasih Dr. Fatin.